Okay, well, congratulations on your, what, over 100 New York Times bestsellers already?
Thank you.
More
Thank you.
competition, yay. I hate you. No, but seriously, I hate you. No, 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 no. It's really great. It's really, 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 really fun.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here and to meet you virtually. This is so
Uh-huh.
cool for me.
Now, where are you? Are you in Boston area
I'm
or?
right outside of Boston, yeah.
Okay, all right. My family moved to Lexington when I was 18, so all my sisters grew up there,
Nice area.
Um, so your novels are filled with twists and turns and whatever. So here's the first twist. I'm not James Patterson. I don't know who I am. Memory loss, like your novel, brain damage. So, but we'll continue anyway.
Yeah,
Tell
feel
me about
that
the cringe
again.
factor. Tell me about the cringe factor. I love the cringe factor, but tell me about it a little bit.
Oh, I love the cringe factor. That's like my favorite thing. It's like, the TV show The Office, how like
Uh-huh.
the things that
Uh-huh.
are happening, you're like, oh my God, I have so much secondhand embarrassment, but you can't stop watching. It's like a car crash. You can't
Uh-huh.
look away.
Uh-huh. 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 Yeah, no, that's exactly I love it too. And I try to practice it as much as I can. Now obviously, we're both sort of writing entertainments and I'm happy with that. And you said you're not trying to write War and Peace.
Definitely.
Um, but just in your own head, what is the ceiling on your writing for you?
What do you mean?
Well, you're doing what you're doing. You're not writing War and Peace, but you could write War and Peace theoretically or something. Is there a ceiling? Is there something? I'm not that there should be, but is there?
Yeah,
Did
I
you?
mean, at this point, I think my goal is like to see my work make it to a screen. That's my dream right
Uh-huh.
now.
Uh-huh.
Like
Okay.
that's what I
Okay.
tell everyone.
All
So
right.
that I hope someday it'll happen. But
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to like step out of the box a little bit more with every
Uh-huh.
project I do, but
Yeah.
also kind of stay within the box because you don't want to go too far out there. So
Uh-huh.
it's a balance.
Uh-huh. 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 Yeah. Are you a big movie fan?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
Less than I
Yeah.
used to be. Like I think since COVID, I just somehow I can't make myself go leave the house. Leaving the house has become harder in general, any social events, but going to the movie, I think, has suffered the
Uh-huh.
most.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, yeah, certainly during COVID. I used to go a couple times a week. And
Yeah, me
now
too.
I rarely go. I
Yeah,
rarely go. And I used to
same.
be my thing. I would, when I was living in New York before I got married, and I would just to kind of, I would just go. And sometimes I'd only go to half the movie, even if I liked it. And I try to come back. And sometimes they don't want you to come back in the middle of the movie or, whatever. But I would do that. There used to be a theater. There probably still is, 67th and Broadway, something like that. Um,
And you're not
so
allowed to go in there anymore.
Well, I'm not in New York City anymore. I'm mainly in Florida. In case you're with the IRS, we're here 8, 9 months. And a little bit in upstate New York, Barcliff Manor
Oh, cool.
area. So and it's like 20 minutes to get to a movie theater from where we are, which
Yeah.
is whatever.
It's harder,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I'm from New York.
uh-huh.
So, there you kind of it used to be you couldn't like walk down the street without seeing a movie theater. So
Yeah.
I used to go, like my parents used to take me all the time when I was a kid. I'd see like both days of the
Uh-huh.
weekend, I get to see a movie. I was seeing movies since I was 2. So I'm a huge movie
Uh-huh.
fan. Yeah.
I'm addicted too. I'm addicted too. And all kinds of movies. There was a nice sort of a more lit theater on 95th or on 95th and Broadway. That was another one kind of cool. But there used to be, as you say, movie theaters all over the place and bookstores.
Oh yeah.
Now try to find a bookstore.
I
Yeah.
love bookstores. Like there was the Barnes and Noble in like the Union Square area. There's still
Uh-huh.
one there, but there was
Yeah.
another one kind of close to that. And I remember sitting there as like grade school kid, and they had this huge like uh tray of like discount books that were like 99 cents. And I used to sit
Uh-huh.
there for like an hour picking out all the books I wanted because I could actually afford them at 99 cents. And that
Uh-huh.
was
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
my Sunday. That was like my ideal Sunday.
Uh-huh. Well, that's how I turned on my family, McLean Hospital up in outside of Boston. I worked there as it was a sort of a thriving, if such a thing, a thriving mental hospital. And I did a lot of night shifts, and a lot of times I could do a lot of reading, but I would go into Cambridge 2 or 3 times a week. And in those days, you could buy books for like a quarter, used
Yeah.
books. And that was my thing. And it was all serious stuff, not the kind of crap that I write, but So um, you've talked about sort of indignities and things that you suffered or what dealt with in medical school and as an intern, et cetera. And then the devil wear scrubs sort of came out of that. What kinds of things and what did you have to deal with? Not to get too personal, but
Oh, I mean, it was hard. Like, I think the hardest part was just, I'm somebody who needs my sleep. And like,
uh-huh,
you would start your shift at like 8, 7:30, 8. But it's technically it started at 8, but you'd have to be there an hour early to round. And it would
uh-huh,
be
uh-huh,
30 hours. And you were just working those whole 30 hours. And by the end, you'd be just so tired that like anything. I remember I was looking for this form I needed to fill out on a patient. And like in the middle of looking for it, I forgot what form I was looking for. And I had to check
uh-huh,
my
uh-huh,
notes to
uh-huh,
remember what I was in the middle of doing. And, there was another time when like we'd have call rooms and I could never find them because they were like all the way on the other side of the hospital and there were so many of them and you were never sure which one was for you. And if you went into
uh-huh,
the wrong
uh-huh,
one, like somebody would kick you out. Like you'd be trying to sleep and somebody would open the door and be like, "Get out. This is my
uh-huh, uh-huh.
room."
Well, my favorite niece, she's a neurologist. She's up in the Boston area, and she tells all her stories the same thing. And also, the difficulties still, I think, with being a woman and pretty much anything. It certainly it has there are problems, to put it mildly. Um, I uh, when I was I worked in advertising, but I've been clean for 25 years. But I got a call. I'd written the first novel, and I got a call, and the person on the line said, "I'm with the Mystery Writers of America, and you've been nominated for an Edgar." And I said, "Well, that's great." I said, "When is it?" And they told me. I said, "I can't go. I'm so sorry, but I can't remember what it was. But there was some reason I couldn't go." And they go, "No, no, no, you've been nominated." I said, "I know, but I can't go." They said, "You have to go. You won." So I found a way. I found a way. And I remember standing on the stage and all I said was, I guess I'm a writer now. Because okay, the book's been published, it just won an award. And you talked about sort of your own modest expectations when you wrote a book and thinking, well, maybe I'll do one and I'll get it out of my system. And so to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't feel like a writer. I don't know. I mean, now
Okay.
I've cut back on my work, but I still work like 1 or 2 days a week. And when people
Your
ask me,
medical,
yeah, I'm a
your work as a
doctor.
doctor. Okay, yeah.
So like when people ask me what I do, I always kind of default to doctor. And when I say like I'm a
Uh-huh.
writer, it doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm kind of making it up. And they're gonna be
Mhm.
like, "What? No, you're not."
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, that we have all have that little complex, the pretender thing. Now I outline like crazy. And you said that you kind of outlined in your head,
Yeah.
which some writers do. And then you dictate some or all of the novels now?
I kind of quasi dictate, like
Okay.
I'll dictate a little bit and then I'll write a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And it depends like if I'm using my laptop or my iPad and like if
Uh-huh.
it's picking up my voice well, like maybe sometimes some days it just does not want to hear what I'm saying. So I'll just be like, I'm
Uh-huh.
just gonna type it. And I'm a pretty fast typer, but I'm a faster talker. So I
Uh-huh,
like
uh-huh,
something that
uh-huh.
can move as fast as my brain can move.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's always an issue of whatever things keeping up with your brain.
Yes.
The pencil, which won't keep up with your brain, or the typing or whatever.
Oh, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pencil is awful. I tried doing that for a little while and I was just like, no, this is not fast enough.
I always talk about, and there's some truth to this, where I pretend there's one person sitting across from me, and I don't want them to get up until I finished. So that's kind of, and that's both the strength and the weakness. The strength being that the pages move along, the weakness being that maybe I don't go as deep as I should sometimes. You talk about a little bit about playing with readers' expectations. How does that work for you?
I definitely, I mean, I read a lot, so I kind of know all the tropes, like I'm actually annoyingly good at figuring out what the twists are in books because I've just read
Uh-huh,
so
uh-huh,
many and like I don't want to know. I want to be surprised. And so that's why I
uh-huh.
say annoyingly, because it's like I
Yeah,
want
yeah, yeah.
to be wrong. But there's
Uh-huh.
so many of these twists, like for example, if there's a woman
Don't use
and
one of mine. Don't use one of mine.
not from yours, but if there's a woman, for example, and there are two men who are both attractive to her, one of them's
Uh-huh.
the killer. It has to be. Like
One
there's
of
no
them what?
one of them has to be the killer if there are two
Okay,
men.
okay, okay. All
So
right.
that's a rule. And I have never read a book and been proven wrong about that rule. So
Okay.
it's stuff like that, like just these
Uh-huh.
rules that I see and where people think it's always, if this is this situation, the twist is
Yeah.
always going to be this. So
Uh-huh.
if you read enough of it and you know where people usually go with it, you
You
kind
try to
of
go
learn how to
somewhere else.
surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that too. I don't, maybe not as successfully as you do, but I do try to do that. I kind of know, and yeah, I mean, and the worst thing is having people figuring it out, early in the book, or thinking that sometimes they go, oh, but there's a big twist at the very end. But if they think they figured it out, it makes the whole book a bore anyway, even
I
if you're
mean,
gonna do a big twist.
yeah, sometimes people like to have figured it out. Like they'll be like, I thought this was the twist and I was wrong and I'm mad because I think my twist was better. So,
Uh-huh,
but you
uh-huh.
have good twists. Like I've read some of yours and been pretty shocked.
Yeah,
So,
some of them, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember there was one of the books, and the twist at the end, and I kept hearing from early readers. I got to the end and I threw the book against the wall. Some form of that. They really were, and so I didn't. It wasn't like I was necessarily going to change it, but I wrote a different ending. And what happened was in America they used that ending, but in England they used the original ending. So
interesting.
yeah, 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 it was. And I don't know what was it better. Actually, it'd be good if they did research. I'd like to know what happened there. Now, you talk about using some of your own experiences, being a doctor. I guess friends of yours having bad online dating experiences for the boyfriend. The
Yeah.
boyfriend is out in October,
October 1st, so one
is it?
week.
Here it
Yeah.
is.
Oh my gosh, you have it. I have it
I
somewhere.
have it. I have. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here
Like,
it is.
but I
Yeah,
have it
yeah.
over my head. Wait, that way. I
Oh,
can
oh,
never
there it is.
tell
That's
left and
right. Yeah,
right.
right. We got not the original, but the first big hit. So the notion of authenticity, obviously, when I've worked with President Clinton, and it's helpful to me for him to be able to say, well, here's what the Secret Service would actually do, or here's what I remember writing something in the White House, and he said that room is so small, you could never do any of that stuff, things like that,
That's
or
so
with Dolly.
cool.
Yeah, just kind of like, okay, this is good. I mean, how does authenticity, obviously a book like Brain Damage, where that's your specialty too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit in terms of
Yeah.
authenticity. Yeah.
I mean, I used to keep like a little diary sort of like of my experiences when I was working. So I like mined it for like things I could use in the brain damage book, like things that happened to me or things that happened to people I knew. So I was like, so much of the brain damage stories in that book were actually things that had happened to patients of mine or patients of friends of mine. So that was definitely one of my more authentic books, in that like so much of it just came straight from my life. But I just have to say that it's so cool, like in terms of like life goals, like meeting Bill Clinton and writing a book with him. And my mother loved that book so much. She read it and she would not stop telling me how wonderful it was.
We have it. Well, you know, the nicest thing for me about President Clinton and Dolly, and now Viola Davis, I'm doing one with her. But what I love about it is just the friendships, honestly. And
Yeah.
you know, with Clinton, we exchange like birthday and Christmas presents and all that stuff, which is, he gave me, I've told the story before, but he gave me a humidor one year, and he knows I don't smoke. So I called him up and I said, well, do I put bubble gum or chocolate cigars in here? And he said, oh, at our age, bubble gum, because you want to exercise the, you know, whatever. And that's really fun. And you know, I've spent some time with Hillary, who I really, really, really like her a lot. And the first time we were out, the four of my wife and I and Bill and Hillary, like it was like a 4 hour dinner at a restaurant, and because it
Wow.
was just blah 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 blah. But one of the cool things in which people don't get is 3 or 4 times during that meal they were holding hands under the table, and people don't
That's
think of them
cute.
that way. Yeah,
That's
it
cute.
is.
I
It's
love
nice.
that. I love that.
It's
That's
human.
so
It's
cute.
just the human, and I wish we could get back to that to humanity rather than this. You know, well, the other side they have to be devils and you know
I
whatever.
know. That's such a sweet story. But I have to say, for me, like meeting authors that are, that I've known of my whole life, like you, it's just been like so cool for me. That's been the coolest thing.
I'm I have the
Like,
same experience, the same way feeling, you know, when I'm, this is fun for me. You know,
yeah,
I grew up in Newburgh, New York, which is up the river and it's a blessing for me. And I don't think I'm a naive person, but it's a blessing. I still see the world through the eyes of this kid from Newburgh. So this is
yeah,
fun. This is a cool thing. I mean, yeah, oh yeah, Frida, and you know, and you know, you have no, it is. It's a
it
neat thing.
is. It's so
I get a
neat.
kick out of it, and I don't think it's, you know, maybe it's corny, but I don't care. So the next
It's
big
just,
twist, because we're going to do
yeah,
twists and turns here, is you're not Freida McFadden. I'm
yeah.
not going to
Well,
ask you who you. I'm
I
not
am,
going to ask
but
you. Are you Frida first name, or is it all just a fake?
it's just a
First and last. That's okay.
it's a pen name. Frida is
Okay. All right.
actually, I came up with the name Frida because it's the name of the residency match program for residents or medical students to match into residency. It's called Frida. It stands for something. I don't know what. It's an
Okay.
acronym, but
All right. Okay. All right. And early on, I guess whatever you wanted to have the two identities, which makes some sense.
yeah, I just, I wanted that separation. Like, if I'm
Mhm.
gonna be talking about things that happened to me in my career, I didn't want to be using my real name. And then, like, if I'm seeing a patient, they're thinking, is she gonna put this in her book? And, and I wouldn't want to betray anyone's confidence in any way or
Sure.
any connection whatsoever.
Yeah.
So to me, it just seemed obvious to
Uh-huh.
kind of,
Uh-huh. 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 Yeah. Some do, some don't. I mean, I just did a thing with Michael Crichton finishing a book that he had done, and he
I
obviously,
know.
yeah,
I
but
saw
he
that.
obviously wrote. I mean, you know, as you know, he went through Harvard Medical School and never
Yeah.
practiced, never practiced. And he obviously, well, although when he was at Harvard, he wrote under a pseudonym.
Did
He
he?
wrote
Really? I
mysteries.
didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yes, he wrote mysteries. I can't remember the pseudonym now, but it was. And then with the
Oh,
Andromeda
interesting.
Strain, he wrote that under his own name. So I think the first big one was Housemaid, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly, that was my first really big one. That was the one that kind of put me on the map. But before that, I was doing okay. But I was,
Hmm.
that was my first book that I did with a publisher. Before then, I was
Oh,
just
really? Uh-huh. Okay.
self-publishing, but it was
Okay.
just an ebook publisher. So it wasn't even like a major publisher, like one
So
of the big
how do you
five.
think that one happened? Just your own.
it was just like this perfect storm of things and, luck and, the right book at the right time. You never know. I mean, as
Uh-huh,
an author, you never know what is going to
uh-huh,
resonate with people or
uh-huh,
why, or, I was with this little ebook publisher, like they're called Book of Short, great publisher, but they've never had a book hit New York Times. And
uh-huh,
it's been
uh-huh.
on New York Times for over a year. I mean, it was such a weird thing to happen.
And how has that affected you, your family? I mean, as much as you want to talk about, how does it change things?
I mean, it's changed everything. At first, it didn't because I was, it was a pen name and I was still at my job. But, as I became more popular and I decided to focus more on writing, I left my job, which is something, 5 years ago, I never, ever would have contemplated something like that. I never would have believed I would do something like that. Not even a
Were
remote
you
possibility.
happy in the, I don't want to get too deep here, but were you happy in the job? I mean, were you,
I was, yeah. I mean, I
okay,
didn't
okay.
want to leave. I kept clinging to it and being like, I can do this. I can make this work. And there was
Uh-huh.
just a point last
At
summer.
a hospital or
Yeah,
once again,
I'm at a hospital.
okay, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, my niece, and she's very smart. I'm sure you're extremely smart too. But she needs to break out. So one of the things that she does now is these expert witness things for trials. And she finds it interesting. Usually she'll have to write up things, but occasionally she'll appear in court. And she digs
I
it.
did that. Yeah, I
Oh,
did
did
that
you? Uh-huh.
once. I
Uh-huh.
appeared in court once and I hated it. I hated the whole
Uh-huh.
thing. I tried doing it
Uh-huh.
and I felt so bad. Like
Really?
I'm just
Uh-huh.
not like I just,
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say anyone did anything wrong. And like, that wasn't even what I was
Uh-huh.
testifying. I was just testifying like the extent of someone's injuries. But it was just like, it just made me feel so bad that like, that I was doing this. And after doing it
Uh-huh.
like a couple
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
times, I was like, no, I can't.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I guess she's just a nasty person, but she likes it.
Some people
Uh,
love it. And I mean, it's good that there are people who are able to do it. I can't.
you mentioned Hollywood and movies earlier. Have a few of them been bought now, or I know you have something with Lionsgate, right?
Yeah, so the housemaid very early on was bought by Lionsgate and
Uh-huh.
Hidden Pictures working together. And that one is making a lot of progress.
Uh-huh. Okay. Hollywood
And
progress.
on the Hollywood scale, which is very slow actually, but it's making
It's
good
very
Hollywood
slow
progress.
until all of a sudden they want to do the movie, and then everything moves ridiculously fast.
Maybe, yeah,
It's
maybe. I
crazy.
mean,
Yeah.
I, somebody told me early on, like the only way your movie is going to get made is you're sitting in the theater watching it. So
Well,
that's
that's a
how I'll
big thing.
know.
Well, you mentioned the Clinton thing. We had actually shot 4 days of The President is Missing and then COVID, and they never, that was the end of it.
That's a
We
mistake.
literally shot 4 days.
That would have been such a big
That's
movie.
that's the worst. I mean,
I
that
know.
I've had so far. You pretty much lose control, or some people do. And you probably will have lost control because you sold it early.
Yeah, I mean,
At this
that's
stage, you can
okay.
probably, yeah, well, it is and it isn't in the sense that you want to be able to, if they're really getting goofy, to say, well, hold it, hold it, hold it. This is just too much. They torture writers out there, unfortunately. I
Yeah,
feel so bad for the screenwriters. Oh, and don't ever let them talk you into writing a screenplay.
oh no, I don't.
Yeah.
In fact, like always say that. I'm
Although
like,
your
I'm not a
dialogue is
screenwriter.
great.
I don't know how to do
No, your
this.
dialogue is great, great, great. See, the trick out there is going to be if they get the wrong people and they get real literal about it, as opposed to no, 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 go with this dialogue. Nobody would ever say that. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. And they're going to end the movie. Because if you make the scene work, it works. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if, nobody would ever do that. No, and never say that in this world anyway. Nobody would ever do it. Are you kidding? You know? So, is everything with Lionsgate or is there,
So yeah, so they have the
okay.
housemaid. Then Sony bought optioned the coworker.
Okay. Okay.
And then the Never Lie is with Netflix and 21 Laps. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it's the
Some of those Netflix and some of those they do a pretty nice job, actually.
yeah, I
So,
was
yeah.
excited about that one. And I'm
Uh-huh.
excited about them all. But that one was like, oh, this could happen maybe before my death. Like this could
Well, they
happen
can.
sooner.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Because I'm very lucky because at this point we have with I'm so bad David Ellison's company, and they have a lot of money, and they'll like we're doing the Idaho student murders, a documentary.
Mhm.
And before we even had a buyer, David had already said, "No, let's go shoot some stuff immediately,"
Wow.
which is great. That's what you really want. These kind of very, very and they're very proactive. They do the Mission Impossibles, so they don't, which is, the Hollywood thing is, it's an interesting thing, but don't be afraid to get a little bit because it'll bug you if they really screw it up and you go, this is just dumb. You know what I mean? It's one thing for it to
Yeah.
be, well, I wouldn't do it that way, but it's pretty good. That's fine. But like, really? This is like with the Women's Murder Club with the TV series, it was like they would do these things and all new mysteries, and you'd go, a postman has been shot, and you go like, okay, let's go talk to his uncle. Let's go talk to his grandmother. What? Seriously? I mean, I'm not interested in any of this. And you just go, this is just dumb. Why are we, there's a lot of ways to do things, but at any rate, for what it's worth, just be a little aware of
Thank
that.
you for the advice.
Yeah.
I'm worried what I would
Well,
come up with would be dumb, but
no, no, no,
no.
no, 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 no. You know what you're doing. Well, here's the biggest twist of all. I know you're excited to announce that you're stopping writing novels today. This is the big twist for our show, and that you're going to go back to medical practice and you're going to stop dominating the bestseller list. Yeah.
Surprise.
Oh yeah, what a shocker. We're just kidding. We're just kidding. Most people will know that, except all of a sudden we find somebody writing about it.
There'll be like a clip,
Um,
yeah, on TikTok. Like, oh my God.
yeah, right. Oh my God. Yeah, but that'll make books sell even more. Yours anyway. Do you have any questions for me since we're sitting here and not a
Um,
one. I don't blame you.
I mean, every question. I just wanted to say, I mean, I was gonna gush to you before we started, but I'm so in awe of you and everything you've accomplished. And I just feel so like this is like one of the pinnacles of my career so far.
It's
It's
going to
just
get
getting to
better
sit
and
with
better.
you.
This is good because this is a nice low thing, and you can really build on this one. I'm a good dad and a good husband. That's the best, I think. My line about Sue is if Sue ever leaves me, I'm going with her. So yeah. All right. Well, great. This is terrific. I really is fun for me. I hope it's fun for you within
Thank
reason.
you. Thank
And
you so
I'll keep
much.
reading. I read The
Again,
Boyfriend
so happy to be
before,
here.
and I've read half a dozen of them already, which is and they're quite wonderful. You're doing a nice
Thank
job.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
This is